Now, let's talk about student loans because the Conservatives are saying that they want to lower the interest rate on some student loans. Kemi Badenoch, their leader, has been speaking about this today. She says that the changes could be paid for by scrapping what she calls useless and pointless degrees. She was asked about this morning on BBC News. Let's have a listen.
One of the most astonishing things is that a level 4 apprentice is earning more than a graduate today. It's those courses that are offering poor value for money. There's the LEO study on longitudinal educational outcomes. It shows that there's some courses where people on there just go straight on to benefits, low employment take-up. If you're going to university and you're not being employed, I think that is a terrible course.
So, Andrew, what courses are you talking about here?
Well, I think for far too long, young people in this country have been sold the myth that a degree is a route to a well-paid, successful career, and that's obviously not always the case. Far too many young people are going into universities up and down the country, studying degrees which are having no impact, having an adverse impact on their ability to get good jobs at the other end of it. So we're going to scrap that. We're going to get rid of these courses which aren't delivering anything for young people, aren't delivering anything for the wider economy. And we're going to save money, and that means we're going to be able to reduce the amount of money that young people are having to pay in repaying their student loans, which is getting to such an excessive degree that you have to be earning £66,000 in this country to be in a place to be able to pay it back. And that's far too high. It's almost impossible to imagine for most young people in this country today. So we're taking action. It's something that the Prime Minister and the Labour Party promised they would do in their manifesto. In fact, what they've done is they've come in, they've actually increased the amount of money that students are having to pay back for their student loans. And that's not something that we're content to see carry on. And that's why we're taking this action.
I mean, you're talking, I think, particularly about what's called Plan 2 loans.
Yes.
And it's almost 6 million people have those loans where they pay RPI, retail price index, plus 3%.
Yeah.
So you would be saying that you just want it to be RPI only. I mean, there'll be lots of people who say, hang on a minute, this was a system that your government introduced.
Yes, but, that's all...
But Kemi Badenoch sounds like she's only just found out about it.
That's a fair criticism, but just because we introduced it and we're examining the situation that we face right now as a country doesn't mean that we're going to recuse ourselves from taking action to resolve something which is quite obviously broken. This is broken. It's unfair for young people. It's not delivering for the country, and therefore we're going to act on it. And the Labour Party's position seems to be, well, you introduced it, so you don't have a right to talk about it. That's nonsense. They, in their manifesto, said they would reduce the amount of money that young people would pay back in their student loans. They have increased the amount of money. We're not scared of identifying where we went wrong in the past and taking action to resolve that now. That's what this bold plan is out today. We're going to be supporting apprenticeships, we're going to be supporting companies and hiring more young people, and we're going to be taking action to get rid of Mickey Mouse degrees and reduce the amount of money that young people are paying. In fact, not just young people, people well into middle age are having to pay back for completing a degree.
Catherine, do you support that idea?
I think it's good that the Education Secretary, as she has said, that will continue to look at this area. And of course, you need to balance...
But what does that mean?
Well, it means that you always need to be looking at what you can do, particularly to balance the impact on the taxpayer as well as the impact on students, and being able to...
There's a lot of graduates who like the idea, who would like the idea of actually not having to pay back so much.
I think that the idea that you would actually say 100,000 students now won't be able to go to university is the wrong way of doing it. I'm really pleased that the Conservatives are talking about apprenticeships. I think it's a shame that we didn't see more of that, because while they'd promised at one point to bring in 3 million apprenticeships, what we actually saw, not only did they drop that pledge, but they then had, in the last 10 years of the Conservatives, we saw apprenticeships go down by nearly a third. It's this government
let's talk about graduates at the moment. I mean,
I think it's got to be both.
You've frozen the thresholds, haven't you, for some you're going to?
It's going up
so
this year.
They're going to have to then pay more.
Threshold's going up this year. And
but in 2029 onwards...
I'm really pleased that we're also reintroduced educational maintenance grants.
But that's not helping those students who are now having to pay back more.
There is a lot of support going in to try and ensure, because I get that you've got a lot of young people who feel really hard done by, quite rightly, and who are really frustrated at the cost of living, which is why we have put in so much to try and tackle the cost of living.
But aren't you making that harder for those who've graduated?
You can't say you're frustrated about young people and the cost of living, and through your actions increase the amount they're having to pay back in their student loans, having promised in your manifesto to reduce it.
Everything that we're doing at the moment is about the cost of living.
Yes, you're making it worse.
That's why we're
people are paying more taxes, businesses are laying off people, unemployment's up, growth is stagnant.
We've got 100,000 more people in work. We're absolutely seeing wages going up at the time where we are taking action to bring costs down. That's why we're bringing down £150 off energy bills. It's why we're freezing rail.
Catherine.
It's why we're freezing prescription charges. What we are doing is trying to do more to ensure that the cost of living is being tackled.
16 to 24-year-old unemployment is now sitting at 12% or around 12%. Unemployment across the country is at its worst than it has been since the pandemic. You can't sit there and say you're taking action to get more people into work and tackle the cost of living when more people are paying more for less, more people are finding themselves out of work, companies are having to let go staff because the national insurance increases and the other huge burdens of red tape that this government have brought in, and then tell students with a straight face that you're taking action on the cost of living when you're increasing the amount they're having to pay on student loans.
Pretty much the only thing that I will agree on that is that there is a long-term trend on the number of those not in education or training going up. And I think that is something that this government is grappling with, and that is why we're bringing in the youth guarantee. That is why we're putting an extra £1.5 billion into opportunities for work and apprenticeships to be able to give young people the opportunities that they need.
OK. Stefan, what do you make of this Conservative policy on student loans?
Well, look, I think there are a couple of points. I mean, firstly, I think, Kemi's gotten really good at, identifying areas where the wind's blowing, and it clearly is blowing in this direction. A lot of young people are angry about this. It's getting a lot of media attention for people like me. So it's a good area for it. But I think, it's a real problem to say that, we're going to do this after 14 years and not only in action, but making the problem worse. So I think politically that's difficult. But I think that, she's in the right place in the policy because, frankly, the current system's a scam. Young people are being completely fleeced. To have not just, RPI at the measure of inflation used instead of CPI, which is always running higher, then just tack on another 3% is completely inequitable. And I think a lot of young people around this country are dealing with that, but not only that, but they're dealing with an economy which is frankly broken. 2 decades of stagnant wage growth for across the country, across the demographics. But then also, youth unemployment hitting Mediterranean levels in this country from the actions of both your parties' governments, actually, over the last 15 years. Whether it be the Nix rises or the inability to create, enough jobs in enough industries across this country, and the Tories did. I think that, young people are absolutely clobbered, and no wonder they're voting for the Green Party. No wonder they're looking at reform.